Hey guys, I'm Rain101 and this is Tournament Takeaways. And today I'm going to be looking at Amde, who just won the Set 7 Midset Invitational Tournament, earning him a spot at the Set 7 7.5 World's Championship, which is really, really huge. I watched every day of the tournament, watched from a lot of different points of view. And if you've seen any of my sort of daily recaps, I've looked at games of his each day because he's put on such a strong showing. And I wanted to go back and look at some of the things that Amde does that led him to be so successful. He only bought 7-8 on the first two games of the tournament. Day one, he went 7-8 in the first lobby and was able to bounce back from that, making his way to day two and then to day three, winning impressively. Didn't even really need the bonus points from coming out of day two, and played some just really consistent, solid TFT to beat out a lot of much better known competitors. When I first looked at his stream after day one, I think he had less than 50 followers on his stream. He'd only been streaming for about a month. He said in his interview at the end of having won the tournament that this was the first time he'd really been like on camera or had mic or anything like that. He's brand new to streaming, but he's been, on the tournament scene here and there, but really kind of came into his own. And this set was an unknown quantity and was pretty low on people's sort of power rankings and odds to win the tournament, despite coming into the tournament with the highest average placement out of anyone in who was competing in this tournament based on prior performance. So what makes this guy special? What made his victory so commanding? And what can we take away from it and learn and apply to our game as we move forward in our climb? I am consistently a Masters player, and I'm looking to push into GM and Challenger one of these days. So this is as informative for me as it is for you. And so hopefully what I take away from it, you can also apply to your own game. So let's get started. My first big takeaway is Amde's mental game. He does not really seem to be somebody who tilts that hard. He's able to play the game that's right in front of him every single time. And if you go back and watch the VODs where he's maybe not doing so well, where he doesn't top four, where he's rolling down and whiffing on level 7 and things like that, he's laughing about it. He doesn't seem to be that flustered or frustrated by it. He rolls it down and misses, and then comes up with a plan for, okay, what do I do next? How do I secure a placement that's high enough to earn me the points that I need? He plays the game that's in front of him, win or lose. And when he, bot fours, he bounces back. You can't look at somebody who goes 7th place, 8th place the first two games of the tournament and necessarily expect them to have the mental fortitude to bounce back and win the entire thing. But that's exactly what he does. He's able to sort of shrug off and laugh off the miscues and missteps that he has early on in the tournament, turns around and has a really impressive day one after that. And these are not, easy lobbies. These are the top 32 players, on the ladder in NA. And so, there's a lot on the line. He's playing with really well-known names. He's playing against people who have thousands of people, in their chat rooting for them. And when I kind of checked in on his stream on day two, he still only had I think 8 or 10 people watching him. And so it's really easy to feel sort of like an underdog in terms of not just the tournament and all of these big names, but the community that's around all of those big names. And you're this nobody or what have you, right? You're playing with the big boys or whatever it is, however you want to frame it. But he's able to consistently sort of shrug off the miscues and missteps, identify his mistakes, move on from them, and play the game that's right in front of him. New lobby, new me, and go in and has a really impressive performance throughout the entire tournament from that point on. And the takeaway here is that your mental is probably the most important part of your game. Keeping your mind sharp, keeping focused on the board that's in front of you, not the board that you just played, not the game that you just played where you bot forward, where you took an 8th and lost a bunch of LP. But okay, that game's done. It's on the books. It's going to get lost in your little chest 20 games from now. So don't worry about it. Play what's in front of you right now. Keep your chin up, keep a smile on your face, because there's always time to turn it around. Takeaway number 2 is to read the lobby. Now, in tournaments, it's a little bit different because you're playing with a set group of people, and when you're on ladder, that's not necessarily the case. Even if you're a challenger player, there might be GM or even sometimes masters in your lobby that you don't recognize, you don't know their play style. And with a tournament, you do recognize these people, you do probably get to know their play style, you've seen them enough on ladder to know how they play, but that's not all of it. You can look around and see people's play styles game by game. You can look at the state of the game and determine what your best situation is going to be based on what's in front of you. For instance, on day 3, a couple of times he was able to correctly identify that like Clear likes to open forward into Varus. And so he looks and sees that opening and says, yep, that's what's happening here. All right, that's really bad against this, so I'm going to go that way. Some players like to first or eighth. Some players like to play these really sort of flashy, high risk, high reward compositions. And so knowing you're in a lobby with these players who are playing in this way, you look at their boards at 2-1 or 2-5 and go, okay, they're going for this, they're going for that. What spot does that put me in? Where am I in relation to them? Do their comps counter what I'm going for? Do my comps counter theirs? And maybe pivot if that's what's necessary. He had a really rough game on day 3 where he was playing Sin Olaf into a very Jade heavy lobby, which is pretty bad for Sins because Jade tends to clump up. It's got these Jade statues that explode. It's really, really hard to play Sins into Jade, and so he sort of struggles with that. Nobody's really playing Deja because the Mirage was Pirate's Greed, and so a lot of people are trying to play Jade and other compositions that Sins don't do really well into, and he's able at the end of the game to correctly identify that. He says, you know what, Sins aren't that great, but especially in this spot, I should have known better. He committed to it early. He got Earth's Grab Bag and Sins and was already thinking like, I could play a Sin Olaf game. He got an Olaf really early on and says, okay, that's the way that I'm going to go. And then is able to go, okay, maybe that wasn't the best choice. If you can make that assessment early, if you can look at the Mirage, if you can look at the situation in the lobby and say, okay, well, the Mirage is really bad. We're going to have a lot of people who are not playing Deja. They're going to be playing other compositions. That means there's probably going to be more Jade players in the lobby. Sins aren't really great into that. Maybe I should save this spat and make something else. Maybe I play Deja. If the Mirage is not very good for Deja, that doesn't mean you can't play it. It's just going to be a little bit harder for you. And I've, in Masters lobbies, seen Pirate's Greed Deja turn into level 9 Ao Shin with tons and tons of money because you're running 6 Mirage and you're getting 5 or 6 extra gold per round. So there's ways to play around it, and you have to be sort of flexible. But for instance, on day 2, there were a lot of Deja clickers. There were a lot of people contesting every single lobby. It seemed like 2 or 3 people were trying to run Deja. And he said, okay, well, if everyone's playing Deja, I'm not going to play Deja today. I'm going to click everything except for Deja and let those guys bot 4 and hold hands, and I'm going to play a different play style. I'm going to play against that grain and secure top 4s. And that's part of the reason that he's able really to put on a very good performance in day 2 and earn those 3 bonus points in day 3 is because he looks around the lobby and says, okay, everyone's going this way. I'm going to go that way. It doesn't have to be a top 1. I don't have to win every game. I just got to get to the next day. These guys are going to, some of them are going to hit and some of them are going to miss. There's going to be a lot of variance in their play. I'm not going that way. I'm going to play a very stable, consistent, reliable board into these guys and let them kind of hash it out. And you even see this in day 3 where he's kind of looking around the lobby and saying like, oh, okay, these guys are competing with each other, or these guys are going to knock each other out. And they can do that. At one point in a game, he's like, good, let them, that's great for me. And is able to recognize that if the lobby is going one way, he can go another. However, on day 3, I think after day 2, with so many people playing Deja, a lot of people I think were pretty hesitant to play it. They saw that the Deja players, one of them would have a great game, and the 2 or sometimes even 3 other people contesting that wouldn't. They bought 4, and it cost some people their ability to move on to day 3. So day 3, people were maybe a little hesitant to click Deja and run the risk of having that competition in their lobby. And so the last 2 games, that's what he plays. He's like, I'm playing Deja. And even though he's contested in the final game, he gets Deja early and is able to build a lot of strength around that and secure his spot into Worlds. But the game right before that, there was not a lot of competition for Deja. He correctly identified that this is a game that he was going to be able to play that into, has a really great showing, and that's what sets him up to secure that spot, secure that top 4 in the final game and earn his place into Worlds. So look around the lobby, and if you get used to seeing sort of the way that people play, the openers that are out there, you're going to be able to really quickly identify, like, okay, the lobby seems to be going this way. Where can I go from here? Number 3, know your openers. Amde gets a lot of different openers in his games and is really, really quickly able to look at the units that are being offered to him, the items that he has in his augments, and make a very, very sort of clear path to what he wants to do. And he sees that opener, he takes it, and he sticks to it. I think part of the reason why he's so consistent is that at 2-1 or maybe 2-5, he's able to say, this is what I'm doing, and this is how I'm going to go about doing it. And has that plan all the way to level 9, where he says, I'm playing 3 trainer, I'm going for Silas, I'm going for Siphon, we're going to do this, we're going to build these items, and every step along the way is in service of that path. Very rarely do you see him sort of pivot out of something because he's like, oh, nope, that's not going to work out, or, oh, I got this one unit, maybe I can play a different comp. He's like, that doesn't really fit into what I'm trying to do here. I've been building for this outcome since 2-1, and I'm going to stay the course on that. I got the opener for it, I'm going to play it, and it's going to work out for me. And because he plays so patiently and so sensibly and sticks to his plan, more often than not, he's able to secure those top 4 placements. And especially in a tournament setting, you don't need to win every single game. You just need to have high placements, earn those points, advance to the next day, and ultimately win the tournament on those points. I think, in the final day, he only won 1 game. The rest of them, were top 2, top 3, top 4, even top 5 in there. And that's still more than enough. And when you're climbing, when you're just thinking about ladder, you can't win every single game. You cannot go into it saying, okay, this is the top 1 every single time. There's too much variance. The odds are against you. So you have to be able to look and say, okay, I've got this opener and these items, which means I'm looking to play for top 4. Oh, okay, I missed my roll down. I'm looking to play for top 6. And cool, I secured my top 6. I lost like 20 LP, put it behind me, move on to the next one where I get a little bit of a better opener and I can play for top 1. And throughout, as he's winning and losing fights, as he moves through the game, he's able to sort of adjust his play style and say, there's no way I'm going 9, or, I can totally go 9 and win from here, or, I'm just trying to secure top 4 from this spot, and makes decisions accordingly. And those all stem from his opener and being able to say, okay, I've got this, that leads to that, this leads to this, off we go. The conventional wisdom when you're learning TFT, or even when you're playing at sort of an intermediate level, is learn a few comps and get good at them. So learn those openers for those comps that suit your play style and be able to pick out really quickly, okay, this is what I have. I get these units and I've got these items. I can slam this right here. It's an item that I can play all the way into my final board and stick to it. So many times when I've been playing on ladder, I'll see a unit on like 3-5, or I'll feel stressed out because I didn't see a unit that I needed on 4-1 and say, okay, where can I go from here? And now I'm trying to pivot my entire board I go 6th or 7th or even 8th because I didn't stick to my plan. And if you watch his games, you can see there's more than a few where he just doesn't hit. He just doesn't get the units that he's looking for. He rolls it down from 50 to 0 and whiffs and says, okay, back to the drawing board. Be patient, the units will come. And there's a couple games where he basically sacks most of stage 4, waiting for his econ to build back up, waiting for those units to come to him naturally, and playing around, okay, I missed. How do I still finish my final board? Maybe I can't go 9, maybe I'm only playing for top 4. Build your econ back up, stay in the game. It's not over. And he's not necessarily donkey rolling at level 7 for those units every single time. Now, sometimes if he's got a bunch of pairs, right? I've got Siphon pair, I've got Silas pair, I've got Lulu pair, then it is. Yeah, I'm going to donkey roll every single turn until I match up these pairs. But sometimes he's like, my board is just kind of weak. And until I have pairs to roll for, until I have a position where rolling makes sense, I'm gonna eat some damage, and that's gonna be the way that it is. So know the strengths and weaknesses of the comps that you like to play. Know when they're strong, when they're weak. Know what openers are strong and what openers are weak, and stick to your plan from there. And I think that's such an important part of climbing is being consistent and sticking to your plan. If you start freaking out, if you don't know sort of what opener you're playing, or you're trying to play 3 different openers all at the same time, you're missing econ, you get dizzy, and next thing you know, the thing that you wind up hitting is contested, or you make an item that you actually can't use in the thing that you wind up playing. Figure it out early, stick to it. And sometimes it's going to work out, sometimes it's not, but it's almost always going to be better to just play your best opener, play your items for that opener, and go from there. My next takeaway is to know yourself. Ambe leans into Siphon Mages. In all of the games that I saw him play, I think that was his most consistent board. And it is a very strong board. He looks for these 2 and 3 trainer openings. Namzi on this particular patch is really, really strong into the late game. Something that he knows how to play to really good effect. And it's part of the reason that he was able to play so consistently. He would pick the right units and hold on to them and build into the sort of gameplay that he likes to play. The style that I noticed him playing is looking for a pretty strong opener where he can not lose too much HP. He's not a big win streaker. In fact, you see him sort of have these like checkerboard win-loss stage 2s from time to time. But he's looking for his units, he's leaning into his play and trying to get those, early carousel items that he can build good, completed items into. So cool, he gets through stage 2 with mixed results, just trying to play strongest board around his opener. And then a lot of stage 3 and even some of stage 4, he tends to sack as he builds up his econ. He rolls down, at 4-1 looking for upgrades to his board, but also once he's a little bit stable, whether he's going to win every fight or lose every fight, he slows it down. He stops rolling. He lets his econ build back up because he's looking forward to level 9. He's saying, can I go 9? When I go 8, what am I putting in? What's my next move? And at 4-1, he's already thinking about 5-1 and 5-5 and 6-1 and what he's going to be doing at those points. That's the playstyle that he likes to play. And Siphon and Deja both kind of lean into that. They can have weak or strong early games, and especially with Deja, you can play pretty much anything into it. You can play the last game of the day on day 3. He played Jade until he hit Deja, and he hit Deja early, and it was a really big hit. But he already had his mindset on Deja. He said, okay, I'm building for Deja. This is what I want to do, and got lucky and hit it really early. But he was building Deja items on Anivia and playing this Sejuani, Gnar, Anivia, Taric, Jade thing until he was able to hit his units. He's playing the strongest board that he can and looking forward into the future. And that's the way that he likes to play. So if you know that that's the way you like to play that way. Know yourself and lean into compositions that allow you to do those fast 8s or sack a stage and go 9. If you like to reroll, sometimes the meta is not really going to be supportive of that like it is right now, but in a different set, there are plenty of reroll metas that show up from time to time. And even now, reroll Varus can still be really, really strong in certain lobbies, in certain situations. Reroll Set is a very, very strong comp. Mort was talking, I saw something the other day, I think during the post-mortem on this patch, about how reroll Set is really popular on the Chinese server and it's not very popular in NA. And it was like, maybe they know something people in NA don't. I don't know why NA is not as high on this, but there's always going to be comps that suit different play styles. So know your play style and build around that. If it frustrates you to try and play these fast 8 or, long 9 compositions, you want to roll a lot, you want to hit those 3-star units, that's how you like to play, lean into that, learn how to build around that play style, because you're going to find more success doing things that you like to do. And if you look at his Olaf games, his Anivia games on day 3, they go against his sort of natural play style and the comps he likes to run, and those are his weakest games of the day. Now, he's still able to top 4 with Dragonmancer, Anivia, and he's just like, I don't even care if I lose. Like, I'm just happy I got to play Dragonmancer, Anivia, Legend, this crazy comp. But those are his weakest games by far because they don't really suit his play style. He doesn't seem super comfortable with them. He gets a little turned around and makes some mistakes on some of his roll downs and with some of his econ in that way, and he knows it. He's playing against his own type, and those are his weakest games. He bounces back, he starts playing comps that suit him better, he has higher placements, and that's what secures him the victory in the tournament. So know yourself, know how you like to play, and lean into it because you're going to have great success playing the way that you like to play. And maybe even if it's off meta, you're still going to be able to secure top 3, top 4 placements and continue your climb playing the way that you like to. Finally, my takeaway from Ambe's performance in this tournament is defense wins championships, which doesn't really make sense in the context of TFT, so I'll explain. The concept of defense winning championships is what it sounds like. In a lot of sports, yeah, the offense is really flashy and they score all the points, but a good, strong, reliable defense is what's going to actually keep you in the game. It's going to be what prevents your opponents from scoring points on you. It's going to be the thing that gets you into the playoffs and wins those championships. It's not flashy. It's not the most exciting. If you watch American football, defense, is not the interesting part. We're all looking for the big breakout running back play, or we're looking for the long ball deep or whatever. But defense is really the backbone of the team. And in this context, what I mean is Ambe just plays smart, sensible TFT. He is not going for the 3-star dragons. He's not going for these flashy 1st or 8th, volley re-roll comps that if you miss, you miss them hard. But if you hit, you're going to win the lobby. He plays comps that top 4. He plays Siphon Mages. He plays Deja. He plays these things that are going to secure him top spots because he knows it's not about going first every single time. It's about consistently getting high placements that earn him points that move him on. And if you're playing ladder, that's even more so. If you're sitting in gold or plat and you're able to consistently top 4, you're not going to be sitting there for much longer. In my climb in Masters, I've had to come up against this wall of playing not just for first. I think I was able to play for first early in my climb because I was in lobbies that were a bit weaker than my skill and ability, and then I hit a point where it was like, no, sometimes you've got to play for 6th, sometimes you've got to play for 4th, sometimes you look at your opener and you look at your items and you go, oh yeah, this game's a first, right? And all of those things you need to be able to sort of like recognize and say, okay, what can I do right now that is going to get me the highest placement possible? Not the highest placement in the entire lobby, but the highest placement that's possible from my spot. The question really is, would you rather win or lose with style? And I don't think there's anything stylish or flashy about the way that Ambe played. He just plays smart, consistent, reliable comps. He slams suboptimal items that makes him strong right now. He doesn't come out with best in slot Deja. He is throwing items on where they work and making it happen. And, in day 3 where he wins the tournament, he only wins 1 game. And in fact, he goes, like 3, 4, 5, 1, 3. If you looked at your LOL chess and you saw 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, you'd be pretty excited about that. And yeah, it's not 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, but TFT isn't played that way. So don't think about how do I win this game every single time. Think about, okay, it's 2-1. I've picked an augment. I've got these items. I've got these units. I've got this opener. What is the rest of the game going to look like for me? Am I playing for top 1? Am I in a spot where I can really compete for that? Or should I be a little more conservative and play for a top 4 placement? And, when you hit 3-2 or those 4-1 roll downs and maybe you hit and it's easy and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going the fastest 9 and I'm winning this game. Sometimes you roll down and you miss and you're like, okay, how do I get a top 4 out of this position? How do I not go 8th out of this position? Not how do I 3-star a dragon? How do I 3-star my carry? How do I save best in slot items, slam those items, get them out there, secure the best possible position you can secure, and move on to the next game. And I think if you go and watch him and his games board by board, round by round, he's just looking at his spot, what he needs to get there, and what his highest odds of securing a good placement are, and he acts accordingly. There are a couple of games where he says, I think the best I can do is top 5 here, and that's what happens. He plays to get top 5, and he goes 5th and says, okay, well, wasn't my greatest game, let's move on. In some cases, he's like, oh, I can win this lobby. This has to happen, that has to happen, but I can win this lobby. Here's what I need to go and do to make that happen. And that level of self-awareness and awareness of the state of the game and the state of his board is part of the reason why he's able to play such consistent TFT. He's not going for the big flashy plays. It's not this built different, Pandora's bench thing, which is awesome to watch. If you watch day 3 and you watch Darth Nub go and 3-star Corky and Nico and Ornn so that he could, beat this crazy board. It was awesome. It was great to watch, but entertaining play doesn't necessarily win championships. Solid, consistent and reliable play does. So when you're sitting there, if you're a streamer or you're not a streamer, whatever it is, right? You're just sitting there with the 3 or 4 games that you get to play this weekend. It's not always about the flashiest play. It's not always about the most entertaining thing if you're trying to climb. So play that defensive way. Know sort of what your options are, what your outs are. Play around the highest position and placement that you can get from your spot and make decisions accordingly. And you're going to climb. You're going to play more consistently. You're going to play more smart and sensible TFT. And that's how you move up the ranks. And I personally, over the last few days of watching this tournament and really studying some of the games and some of the play styles that are employed in those games, I've gone and played a handful of TFT in between sort of preparing for these videos and applied a lot of these takeaways to my play and found myself more consistently playing, more consistently top 4ing in a spot where I've been sort of vacillating between like 0 and 200 LP masters. I've found myself over the last few days playing a game or 2 here and there, getting those top 4s and feeling much, much better about the way that I'm playing. And I know it's a direct result of these specific things that I've looked at in the play style of these really, really consistent players, and in particular, this really consistent player. So it's helped me. These takeaways have improved my game, and hopefully they'll improve yours. And I really look forward to seeing Amde play at Worlds and what he does with set 7.5. And the set is almost over, so hopefully it's not too late for you to maybe move up into that next division from some of this, but really hopefully this guidance can help your set 7.5, your set 8 climb, because all of this stuff applies no matter what set we're playing. So good luck out there, and I'll see you for the next video. And if you haven't already, make sure that you comment if you have thoughts or ideas or contributions, and subscribe to the channel for more updates. I am a small creator, and every view, every like helps YouTube fit me into the algorithm and get seen by more people. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.